Our next guest does not fit neatly into the algorithm. She's an independent that soon will have a dependent, a former tequila drinker, a shitbag, and a best-selling author, comedian, and Fox News TV star. Kat Timpf joins us, and she's having a meal. What's up, Kat?
I just finished it. Wow, what an intro. I really appreciate that. That was really sums it up, huh?
Yeah, it does. We're done. Okay, you're good. Thanks for coming on, Kat. You've been on quite a ride. Lots of ups, downs. You've been doing a lot of living lately. How are you holding up?
Good. Yes, I've been through quite a bit, for sure. You know, I'm very excited for this book to come out. Very, very excited about it.
We talk a lot about sports around here at this studio, and I know where you're from in Michigan, people are either, big Sparties or they're Go Blue, and that can divide the state of Michigan, as you know. When it comes to these binary thoughts, which you're against in your new book, I Used to Like You Until, How Binary Thinking Divides Us. Is it cool to be loyal to a sports team?
Well, yeah, of course. But I mean, being loyal to a sports team often doesn't break apart families, which is what politics can do. So.
Yeah, I agree. It can do that. I know. I've heard you say binary thinking is the enemy of critical thinking. Are there any moments in your life when you realized that you were engaging in this binary thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I everybody has certain biases and assumptions, right? It's human to kind of draw patterns and notice connections and that kind of thing. But for me, that's why you need to make a concerted effort to kind of think beyond that, right? And it is worth it to do. I mean, I purposely view my interactions with people who might be different from me with a sense of curiosity rather than judgment. And it really makes all the difference in terms of, I have a lot of relationships with a lot of people who think very differently than I do on politics and also many other things. And I can't imagine where my life would be without a lot of these relationships.
The new book is called I Used to Like You Until, How Binary Thinking Divides Us. You will be able to read it as of tomorrow. You can pre-order it. Just go wherever you order your books. I know some liberals out there that think just because you work at Fox News or you support Donald Trump that you're immediately a racist. In your opinion,
right.
How do we break through these binary stereotypes?
Well, I do work at Fox News. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a Trump. I don't think he's Hitler either. I'm not a Republican. So there's some things I agree and some things I disagree with. But I think that one of the hugest ways out of this mess of thinking that someone's a horrible person based on their certain political views or seeing them reducing people to their political views is vulnerability. It's what I do a lot in this book. I mean, I expose myself. I tell a lot of very personal stories. And, the idea of me on the cover too, naked, covered in hate mail, the idea of vulnerability, even in the face of overwhelming hatred. And I just think it's so important to, if you're willing to show that you're human, then people are more likely to be willing to see you as a human. And I think that's going to be a huge way out of this. We are in a mess right now, really, where politicians, media, really just manipulating us, honestly, manipulating people, for the sake of their own benefit, really.
Yeah, I think when people are so quick to be hateful and mean, when you just throw a little vulnerability on them, like, yeah, I am fat. It's like all of a sudden their argument is they don't really have much going at that point.
I've done that. I responded to hateful messages before I out DM the person. I'll say, that really hurt my feelings. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, well, what did you think? But it's a much better way to approach it. You can actually win people over that way. And this book is kind of a guidebook for how to win people over that you might disagree with. And so why that's so important.
Get your hands on the new book, I Used to Like You Until, authored by our guest, Kat Timpf. I'm curious, have you gone on CNN or MSNBC to promote this book, or will they even allow you on those networks?
Well, I'm under contract, right? But I don't know if I even can go on those. But I have had issues with people. I had a wonderful piece I'd encourage everyone to check out that Variety magazine did on me and did on the book. And it was a wonderful piece. And I share a lot of things in it. And it was great. But a lot of the feedback from the people who read that was like, how dare you cover a Fox person? And it doesn't even matter that I'm not a Republican to that, or a Trump supporter, which to me, I have friends who are Republicans, who are Trump supporters. It doesn't matter to me what your politics are in terms of your friendship. But just the fact that I work at Fox and I guess share air with people who I really don't know, People were saying some of the most horrific things about me, mad at the magazines for even covering it. So I definitely do get a lot of that, for sure.
I think people should give the show a chance on Fox. If you're one of those libtards that will not tune into Fox News, you should at least tune into Gutfeld. I mean, a lot of people are. The ratings are up. I know you're a big part.
Yes.
You're a big part of the rating success there. And I heard you say you were a fan of Greg's show Red Eye when he was on the late nights. I'm curious how the two of you connected. How did it all come together for you guys being on the show together?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had a video that went viral where I was at a feminist conference asking people what feminism meant to them, and they found out I worked for a certain organization that was conservative, and they were physically blocking me from getting interviews. My camera guy kept rolling. It was like my boyfriend's friend. It was a very low budget operation, but it went all over Fox, and so I wound up on Red Eye, which I'd always been a fan of and always would want to be on, and Greg and I just kind of hit it off. And the rest is kind of history because shortly after that, he got Greg Gutfeld show was a weekly show, but he got his own show, and then I became the co-host of that show.
In the new book, I Used to Like You Until, I know that we talked about you get very vulnerable. You even talk about abusive relationships. Is it true that you dated a rapper, an unnamed rapper?
Yes, I did.
I want to know what is on your, who are the Mount Rushmore of rappers to you? Since you've dated one, you know a thing or two about bars. So I'm curious, who are the most played rappers on Kat's playlist?
Who are the most played? I listen to a lot of Eminem, but I also listen to a lot of Biggie, and this is embarrassing. I do listen to a lot of NWA.
That's not embarrassing. I mean, come on, straight out of Compton, baby.
Look at me though. I mean, I was at the gym the other day, and my alarm. I have a new app for alarms because my alarm function on my phone doesn't work anymore. And I just literally don't have time to go in. But whenever I'm listening to AirPods and the alarm goes off, it'll start playing whatever I'm listening to in my AirPods. And I was listening to, it happened to be once with NWA, but was really embarrassing because it happened to be once I was listening to Sexy Red.
Well, it could have been My Neck, My Back. That would have really offended a few people.
It was pretty bad. It was in the same vein, I would say.
Has Gutfeld gotten you into any Guar yet? Have you got that on the playlist?
I went to see Guar with Gutfeld a few Halloweens ago, actually. With me, Greg Gutfeld, and Emily Campagno went together.
Hopefully those stories are in the book. That sounds like a wild night.
There's a lot of stories in the book.
I'm so happy for you, by the way. You and your husband, you found a good one, it sounds like, and he was able to plant that seed. Whatever happened to those 9 frozen embryos that you had on standby? Where are they?
They're still frozen. I still have them.
You do? Where do you keep them?
They're in I don't know, like a facility. I don't know the address of where they are. I was told actually that I probably wouldn't be able to get pregnant without medication. We were planning to start IVF when I found out I was pregnant. We'd already ordered the medicine. It arrived at our house the day after I had a positive pregnancy test. So we were very surprised, but very, 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 very happy.
I heard you say that when you found out you were pregnant, it was nothing like you thought it would be. How is that?
Well, just because I thought I'd just be overwhelmed by it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have a baby. But there's so many, I just kept thinking I could have a miscarriage. I'll probably have a miscarriage. I'm 35 years old. So I kind of would just focus so much on the next appointment. I never really thought about it until just very recently. I mean, within the past month or so, oh my God, this baby's going to live in my apartment. I was so prepared for all the negative outcomes to happen. And I got so wrapped up in preparing myself for those that it's almost as if I never considered that it would just be okay and I would have a healthy baby.
You got a good 12 to 14 years till it really starts getting interesting. When they start driving a car and bringing significant others to the house, and they want big toys.
Oh man!
So you got a ways to go. Enjoy the young time. Just wiping asses and feeding them baby food. It is a glorious time. So you're going to enjoy it. So don't stress about it.
I will.
I know.
Right, thank you very much.
All right. I know. Being a parent now, I'm wondering how you feel about this new trend of holding parents accountable. I don't know if you saw this, but the shooting that happened in Georgia, and now the dad is locked up. We're starting to see this. Your opinion on parents being accountable for what their children do. Do you agree?
Well, what I don't understand is how you can charge someone as an adult, but then also charge their parents for what the child did because they're a child. Yeah, I don't see how it's legal to do that. I've not understood it at all.
Yeah, I guess you better watch that kid. Don't let him get close to any firearms. We don't want your kid causing no trouble.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's kept me from having kids. I'm not maybe not that extreme, but worried that what if the kid just grows up and to be that kid that when they show up, everyone's like, ugh, that kid's here. I mean, I really just don't want the kid to grow up to be a loser or like annoying nightmare nobody likes. But we'll see what happens, And to clear it up for everybody, just because Kat is on Fox News does not mean she's a Republican. She's neither a Democrat or a Republican. She's an independent. And I've heard you say you have meaningful relationships with liberals and conservatives. What is your relationship like with liberals being on Fox News? Well, I have a lot of friends who are liberal, and, those are very valuable relationships that I have with people. I have friends who are of all different, just because we don't agree on certain politics doesn't mean that we have nothing in common at all. I think that that's a lie that gets told to us, that we can't have anything in common with people just because we have different political views. I've had Tom Hanks on the show. He collects typewriters. Alan Alda from MASH fame, he collects umbrellas. Kevin Costner told us he likes to collect vehicles from his movies. What does Kat collect? Do you have any collection of anything in your apartment in New York? No, I don't collect anything. I mean, my husband would say I'm a hoarder. I can't throw anything away. But what about shoes? I see you wearing a lot of sexy shoes on the set of. I have a lot of shoes. Yes, I have a lot of shoes. Well, I thank you for your time, and I look forward to reading this book. I Used to Like You Until: How Binary Thinking Divides Us. Watcher on Gutfeld. We haven't seen you. I haven't seen you in a few weeks. Are you going to be back on the show soon, or have you? And I just missed you. I was on Thursday and Friday, and I'm on today. Okay, well, I'll be watching. We'll be watching you on Gutfeld. We'll be reading the book, and Kat, just keep milking this as long as you can. Okay. Thank you.